Good evening, Ready to Love family. I'm coming to you tonight because I just got off the live stream of Ages and Stages where Cornelius did a live interview with Rashid and Symone. And oh my God, ordinarily I wouldn't even tape this, but I thought it was important to maybe get the word out so everyone could watch the interview prior to the reunion, which is going to happen tomorrow night. But we learned a lot. I must say that initially I was quite frustrated with the interview, but as I settled down and I listened to Camille Cornelius, I actually started to see something a bit more that actually became quite alarming to me. We got to hear a little bit about Cornelius's journey in life of how he was born in Arkansas and he then grew up mainly in Memphis, Tennessee before he moved to the DMV area. He spent some years in, I think it was Kansas, working in Kansas also. We also found out that prior to Camille, maybe a couple of years ago, he was in a relationship with a young lady and she had two children. And he talked about how difficult it was to leave that relationship because of how he felt bad leaving the kids behind. I guess he had formed a bond with the children. He found that quite hard to leave the relationship. He was left with feeling a bit of guilt or remorse in leaving the relationship. Um, if you remember, we met one of Cornelius's ex-girlfriends. I don't think that that's the same ex-girlfriend, but I think it was a different ex-girlfriend. Nonetheless, that the girlfriend I'm speaking of with the two kids, he does admit that they were in a sexual relationship as well. In fact, Cornelius says that he really only became celibate maybe around 2020 because he felt that sex might be interfering and maybe over bonding him with women. I think he thinks it was his sex, but I actually think it's something quite different. But nonetheless, I mean, we can go back to on the show, we met one of Cornelius's ex-girlfriends. And if we're honest with ourselves, and this is no disrespect to the young lady, we were all quite surprised that that was who Cornelius needs to date. Regardless of whether we have our stereotypes or not, or our own biases, I can say that a lot of people we were surprised about a lot of the exes on that show. To be honest with you, Walter had an ex that we all were kind of shocked over. But nonetheless, we sort of blew it off and we just, oh, okay, we didn't really think much of it. Cornelius went on to tell us the story of how he and Camille became so bonded. In fact, he tells us that he remembers when he first came on the show and he was afraid he wouldn't be able to find someone for a connection. And he saw Camille walk in and he instantly said that he felt attracted to her. There was like a strong connection with her. And at this time, he hadn't even spoken to Camille as he described. So it must have been a purely physical attraction he had to Camille because he really hadn't even spoken to her yet. But he was drawn to her physically. And in fact, he goes on to tell us that his type of woman that he typically likes is a woman that has a little bit meat on her bones and also a woman that's a bit aggressive. He tells us that at the top of the show, his top connections before actually, you know, honing in on Camille completely was that he said he was actually talking to Tasia, Courtney, Zadia, and Camille. Now, if you think of these four women, Tasia, Courtney, Zadia, and Camille, we absolutely can say that on the spectrum of aggressive and non aggressive women, or feminine and aggressive women, all these women are definitely on the aggressive side, more so. When we were talking to and listening to Cornelius, they asked him a lot of questions. The people in the chat, Simone asked him questions, Rashid asked him a lot of questions. But each question, when people questioned Camille's behavior and what she did and what she said, his response was always the same: bad editing, bad editing, bad editing. He always defended Camille, always defended. No matter what she did, she defended him. In fact, even when the audience brought up every single instance from calling him a country bumpkin for being disrespectful to him to the way Camille talked to other people. He always defended her. He always rescued her. I think that one of the things that Cornelius is drawn to is I think he's a rescuer. We all saw in the Brown Girl Squad, although they came off as mean girls, underneath all of that, we knew it was insecurity. We knew that they formed this pack of women because they were actually threatened by other women. Lots of us could see that. And I think Cornelius saw that as well. I think he talks about, no, Camille is not like that on the inside. She's more of this, she has hurts and pains and wants to be hugged too. And what he's talking about is there may be this tough exterior, but Camille has a woundedness to her. And I think that Cornelius is drawn to wounded women. I think he likes to save women. And the more people ganged up on Camille, the more he felt the need to protect her and to save her. Even when they brought up Zadia sticking her finger in the face of Dante, he even protected and stood up for Zadia. At no point in time did Cornelius hold any of these women accountable. No one from the Brown Squad, not Zadia, not Camille, not anyone. I actually understand why Camille was so angry and frustrated with Cornelius and why she called him a country bumpkin. Because what she was actually alluding to was that she felt he was naive and gullible. And what she was saying was she felt that she had to keep him away from other women because she didn't want those other women actually taking advantage of Cornelius. She actually saw in Cornelius what we see her doing to Cornelius. And that is, she thinks that he can protect himself and that he is a lamb. But what she doesn't understand is she's actually the lamb. Cornelius is actually drawn to Camille because Camille is actually the one that needs rescuing. The tough exterior on the outside doesn't tell the story on the inside. He is drawn to women that clearly have sometimes levels of aggression that are probably hiding deeper wounds. When we saw Tessia, when we saw Zadia, that tough exterior on the outside, we knew there was something deeper on the inside. I don't know what's going to become of Cornelius and Camille. I imagine that it might end as many of his other relationships have ended. He believes that eliminating sex now from the relationship won't bond him to the women so much. I don't think the sex was the problem, Cornelius. I think you're a rescuer. I think you have white knight syndrome. He tells us that they've been dating since June or July when the episodes first started taping, when the show first started taping. She said, he said he still hasn't met her son. She's gone and met his family in Memphis, but he hasn't met the son. Now, if since July, there hasn't been any talk of them getting married. They asked him, were they going to get married? He said, sure, it might lead to that. 6 months, 7 months, a year. Where is all this going, Cornelius? If we are where we are with Camille, why no engagement? Why no engagement ring? Why no plans for marriage? Why no more definitive timelines of when we'll end this game that he's playing? I think that's exactly what it is. I think that when he has felt he has fixed Camille or there's nothing left, I think the relationship will end. I used to say, Cornelius, run for Camille, run from Camille. I am now changing that, and I'm telling Camille she needs to run from Cornelius. And one of the reasons why Camille was so frustrated is because she didn't feel special. When your man is running around saving everybody, you actually don't feel special. You start to realize his savior complex has nothing to do with loving you or saving you. He just likes to save people, period. So that's all I have to talk about. I'll be looking forward to the reunion tomorrow, and I'm sure I'm going to do a video on that. afterwards. Talk to you later. Bye.